Very many videos on the Yanmar, the 3-cylinder. There's a lot of people selling them, but there's not really any information about them. So I'm just going to do a quick overview of the tractor. This is a 1601D 4-wheel drive. They say it's engine rated at 22 horsepower, 16 PTO. I may be wrong, but I believe that's the rating. Okay, you have your, obviously you have your 1 through 3 and your reverse. Okay, your clutch here. This is your PTO engagement. Here's your 4-wheel drive lock. You have your diff lock over here. And I believe you have 1 through, you have low, it's all the way down. Then you have your 2nd and 3rd and 4th. In the back you have, that's your, for lifting your 3-point. In the back you have your 3-point, your PTO, and also your top link, your lift arms. And this is for the cultivator that came from the Japan, like the Japanese cultivator. Then I have a loader on mine, obviously, so it's going to have, this is a Quaker 110 loader. That's your up, that's your tilt, and for your bucket. Here's your fuel filter down here. See if I can get you a shot of it. That's your fuel filter. To change it, turn your fuel off, which is turn it to the up. Undo your fuel, take off your bowl. Okay, it'll be full of dirt and everything else and look like junk. Then when you're done, screw it back on, and depending on what model you have, you may have the YM 2000 or the YM 1600. There will be a Phillips head or 10 millimeter. Go ahead and turn your fuel back on and open that up to bleed out the air. Then your fuel filter will fill up, and that'll have, once you see fuel coming out of there and no more bubbles, then you're good to go ahead and start it. There's really not much electrical on these. You have your starter and your alternator, and obviously there's really, down here below your seat is your draft control. Controls your 3-point. If you're having any problems with the 3-point, the first thing to check would be your sump, which would be down below your, you have a filter down there. It's your main hydraulic filter. It should be 3 bolts. Then once you take that off, there'll be a big pre-screen filter, a big old metal filter that comes out. Go ahead and clean it up, and that's the first thing to focus on. You're still having issues, like let's say it's not going down, it's not, something stuck. Usually 9 times out of 10, pull off, be careful because you could be under pressure. Pull off these 2 bolts on the side of your draft control, and once you pull off this, this side and this side, go ahead and pull off your knob. There will usually be an O-ring that's stuck in there. Other than that, I mean, they're great machines. There's not really a better tractor out there. I'll show you. This one has 800 hours on it. I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up for you. Yeah, I gotta put the phone down. Sorry. Okay, what you want to do when you're buying a tractor is you want to check it for blow-by. Go ahead and pull your oil off. Look for blow-by. This tractor has absolutely no blow-by. There's also a tube that runs down, and that'll be a good indicator if you have blow-by. There's a decompression valve. Sometimes if you lose compression on these, a lot of people don't realize is that what happens is the decompression valve gets stuck. It's on top of your head here, and if it gets stuck or rusted, sometimes people think, oh, the engine's bad, and they end up selling these things for dirt cheap, and come to find out the decompression valve is just stuck. And so just always keep those things in mind. The most common failure I see would be people jamming on the diff lock, breaking the differential lock. Other than that, the pumps are extremely solid. The tractors are just good tractors. This is my 5th tractor I've owned, 5th Yanmar, and I'm gonna go on to the loader. I know you're not supposed to. I just had all these cylinders rebuilt in the loader. I would do it myself, but I had one that had to have the bottom of it had to be rebuilt from the ass. You can see here they had to cut the back of the cylinder out, which I just don't have that experience to do that type of rebuild on a cylinder. Everything works, headlights work. Tires, if you have a four-wheel drive, they're hard to find the 514 tire. You have to pay a little extra penny, but you can get them from Japan, or you can order them directly from like an online source like eBay or another source like that, but they just don't have many sets, and they're definitely expensive. Don't go with a 614 because you throw your ratio and your four-wheel drive off. I'm trying to think of what else that I could go over that a lot of people haven't really shown on YouTube. I don't really like the rollover bars, or they're just not for me. I'm a tall guy, so when I get off, I tend to hit my head or things like that. But I may mount some lights up on it, and we use this for landscaping. I'll show you the debris forks. Don't mind my little shop here; it's all dirty. But we use the 48-inch debris forks. What they do is this tractor's mainly a backup. I'll show you what it backs up to. We have a Terramite T9. This is four-wheel drive, and what we do is use this for hurricane cleanup and doing mainly landscaping. And these forks are from Titan Attachments. These forks have 800 hours on them. They're great forks. They do put a lot of stress on the buckets. You're gonna have to. I had to re-weld here. I don't know if you can see the weld. I've had to re-weld the bucket because they're just not designed for it. So if you're looking for something like that, Titan Attachments, they have them on eBay, I believe, and Amazon. And I'm not trying to push the product because I have had problems with Titan Attachments. They sent me missing pieces one time and pissed me off. But other than that, the Yanmar is a great tractor. I have a YM 2000. It's a two-wheel drive. This is my four-wheel drive. I just didn't see a lot of videos on these things. Another thing, if you're going to install the loader, see if I can get, I'm sorry about the camera here. If you're going to install a loader, you have a high pressure line and a low pressure line. All you do is come off the high pressure line, split it, run it up to your valve. You have your intake valve, and there's your exit valve over there. I'll put my finger on it. I can get my damn finger to it right there. And all that does is goes back down. So you don't have to do any really modifications. You split your line. You can have it crimped. You can have them, I believe there's people that have brazed them. I don't know if that's an older thing or what. And obviously I need to do a few things. Like you can see this line's dripping slightly here. It needs to be replaced. But yeah, the loaders just directly bolt on to the frame. It's nothing special, and I just couldn't find a lot of this info. That's why I'm trying to give you guys a few tips and save you some time. The fuel filters are $11 on eBay. There's a seller. Let's see if I can get his information. Kumar Bros. Yeah, Kumar Bros. USA. They sell a good filter. You can see when I bought this tractor, I'll give you an idea of what was in it. That's what was in it. Now go ahead and look in the bottom of this, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh. Look down in there. I mean, it's not focusing, but just horrible. And people run their equipment like this, and so what I do is I fully service the hydraulics. I rebuilt all the cylinders. I'm going to go ahead and service it again. I'm going to service the hydraulics again. Just because I want to get whatever was left in there out. And it's only, you put 303 in these. You can do a universal hydraulic fluid, which is like a transmission / hydraulic fluid. Best place I've found it for the cheapest is at Tractor Supply store. They seem to have the best deal on it. Other than that, I'll show you the engine oil. Most diesels have a fairly black engine oil. This oil is just clean, and I've put hours on this. Don't think it's just changed. I've definitely put some hours on this machine, and I do apologize for the video quality. Four-wheel drive in these works great. If you do use your diff lock, don't jump on it. When you use it, just go ahead and gradually, if you start to get some slippage, push your foot down on it. Don't stand up on it. If you have to stand up on it, you're just going to break it. I've broken one on my 1600, and I was younger and learned my lesson. Other than that, it's one of the best tractors I think you can get for the money because, you know, they're well built from Japan. I would avoid the Vietnamese remodels. They look all pearly and they got their paint jobs, and the thing is they get high hours and they just rebuild them in Vietnam, and they're just shipped over here, and you're just not getting a good tractor. You're getting a really used tractor. And so if you can find an original tractor, I wouldn't be scared to buy. This one has 792 hours. I wouldn't be scared to buy one of these with much higher hours. I trust them that much. The rebuilds on the engine are not hard at all. You know, you pull the engine out, and it can be done if you know what you're doing. You have everything lined up in a clean shop. It can be done in a day, depending on how much machine work you have to do. Now, obviously, if it throws a rod through the block, then different story. Sometimes they will on some of the engines. Some of the Yanmar engines, I don't know why it's so common, but they'll throw the number 3 rod right here. They'll throw the number 3 rod right through the bottom of the block into the starter and just knock it out. And at that point, you're going to have to just do a full rebuild. And another thing too is a lot of people put concentrate in here, and they don't realize that if you put too much concentrate, you're going to start overheating, because concentrate doesn't cool as good as water. So find whatever temperature you're working in. If you're up north, then you got to find that proper temperature, and don't overdo it with concentrate, because otherwise you're just going to constantly overheat. It's going to drive you nuts. So thanks for watching. I'm going to post this to YouTube, and I don't need subscribers or anything. I just wanted to help people figure out, you know, a little bit more about the Yanmar and go from there. And thank you guys, and have a blessed day, and go buy Yanmar. They're great tractors, and I definitely recommend them over any of the newer tractors. I'd rather have... Now, the only advantage is hydrostatic. I mean, a hydrostatic tractor is just going to be outperform an older tractor, but then again, you're going to have more problems. This thing's, you know, 40 years old. It's going to keep running. Those new tractors are constantly going to have to be maintained. All the parts can be found from Hoy Tractor. There's a few other part sources you can find. Some of the things are transferable. You know, a lot of parts are cross-referenced. Your oil filter can be pretty much damn near any oil filter. You just got to find the number, cross-reference it. I don't have the list, but I avoid Fram just because the glues in there aren't very good. K&N or any of those, or any filter pretty much will work for this thing. And that's about it. Change your oil and maintain it, and keep your fuel filter good, and you'll never have an issue. I've never had an injector problem on any of my Yanmars. I have one with 4,000 hours, and that's about it. Well, thanks again, guys. Have a great day.